Daniel Jones was overdrafted and was barely a star in college. The draft pick had Giants fans angry, and rightfully so. It's like the Giants said, "We're drafting a guy who looks like Eli Manning." Somehow, against all odds, Daniel got a $160 million contract extension to stay with the team. They chose him over Saquon Barkley, who would have been much cheaper than $160 million. Now, Daniel has one last season to prove himself as a starting quarterback. So just how bad is Daniel Jones actually? As a junior at Duke, Daniel Jones wasn't all that impressive. He averaged a measly 5.9 yards per pass attempt. This led to a mediocre 7-6 record on the season. He threw 14 touchdowns to 11 interceptions in his junior year. He would have had some improvements statistically as a senior. His 6.8 yards per pass attempt is still very low. Comparing that to QBs in his draft class, Kyler had 11.6 yards per pass attempt. Daniel led Duke to an 8-5 record while throwing for 2,674 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. To get into his traits, Daniel is 6'5" tall and can move pretty well. However, his arm strength is just average. One thing that helped raise Daniel's draft stock was the Senior Bowl. He would win the MVP of the game. Heading into the 2019 draft, Jones was projected first-round pick, but when the Giants selected him 6th overall, it was just a head-scratching pick.
With the 6th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Daniel Jones, quarterback, Duke.
This left Giants fans angry and confused. Daniel Jones did look like an actor who was playing Eli Manning, so maybe New York struck gold. Daniel lit up New York media in his rookie preseason games. He had a 140.1 passer rating while completing 83.3% of his passes. He also averaged an insane 12.3 yards per attempt. But Eli Manning was still there and Daniel started the year on the bench. After starting the season 0-2, head coach Pat Schumer announced Daniel Jones would start week 3 versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To start off the game, Saquon injured his ankle and wouldn't return. This left DJ without his star back. Daniel Jones would run in his first career touchdown in the second quarter. Towards the end of the second quarter, Jones and the Giants offense were down 8 points and trying to get some points before half. Then Daniel Jones would have the ball stripped away and fumble the ball. It would be recovered by the Bucs. It's almost like Daniel is just unaware of the pressure coming and is unable to maneuver around the pocket. The Giants would go down 28-10 going into the second half. Daniel Jones would start the second half, throwing a 70-yard touchdown to Evan Ingram. On the next drive, Daniel Jones would make this excellent pass.
Now Jones escapes pressure, fires downfield, and it's caught.
He would then throw a touchdown. To start the fourth quarter, the Giants are looking to take a lead and Daniel Jones fumbles in the pocket again. With 3 minutes left in the game, DJ needed to get his team a touchdown. It came down to a 4th down play. Daniel would step up and run it in for the lead. The Bucs did march down the field into field goal range.
Matt Gay's kick is no good.
The Giants won the game and Daniel Jones led an 18-point comeback victory. Everything looked up in the Big Blue. Did they get their next Eli? Daniel Jones ended the game with 336 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. The following week against Washington, Jones would take a step back. He threw for 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions. But he won the game easily 24-3. He would lose his first NFL game in week 5 against the Vikings. His first real bad game came against the Patriots in week 6. The Patriots defense was playing at an historic level to start the 2019 season. Daniel Jones would throw 3 interceptions in this 35-14 loss to the Patriots. Then it was time for the Arizona Cardinals. Jones playing against fellow rookie QB Kyler Murray. Neither of them ending up having a good game. Daniel Jones threw an interception and lost 2 fumbles. Ball security is becoming a real problem for Jones. The following week against the Detroit Lions, Jones would throw for 322 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Maybe Jones isn't so bad after all. But against the Cowboys, the following week, he would fumble the ball twice. When you thought things couldn't get worse, Jamal Adams proceeded to take the ball from Daniel Jones' hand and scored a touchdown in the same play. This has to have been the most embarrassing play ever seen on national television. He also did fumble the ball 3 times that game, but that was the only one his team didn't recover. Despite this, Daniel Jones put up good passing numbers, throwing for 308 yards and 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Jones would miss 2 games in 2019 and return to play Washington in week 16. Jones would have an overtime thriller performance in this game. Daniel Jones would throw for 5 touchdowns and 352 passing yards, while throwing 0 interceptions. He was the first rookie to record these stats in a single game. Outside of a couple outlier games, Jones wasn't much good. He fumbled an insane 18 times as a rookie in just 13 games. He did finish his rookie year with 3,207 passing yards, 24 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. If we're being honest, the stats look pretty good, minus the fumbles. But they only won 4 games, and head coach Pat Schumer was fired. They brought in Joe Judge to be their new head coach, who was a special teams coordinator in New England.
We're going to put a product on the field that the people of this city and region can be proud of.
You can say firing an offensive-minded coach to bring in a wannabe Bill Belichick was a mistake, especially for Jones' development. In the 2020 season, Jones wouldn't have a single game with 3 passing touchdowns. He did that on multiple occasions as a rookie. He still had terrible pocket feet, just really didn't know how to move around in the pocket. In Week 6 against the Philadelphia Eagles, Jones would keep the ball on a read option and could have easily walked in for a rushing touchdown. Instead, he trips on his own feet for an 80-yard rushing play. He started getting the nickname Vanilla Vic for plays like this. Overall, Daniel Jones' record that year was 5-9. He missed 2 games due to injury. In total, he finished 2020 with only 11 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions, a big step back from his rookie season. His fumbles did go down from 19 to 10. To be fair, Saquon Barkley barely played the year after his horrible injury earlier on. His wide receivers to throw to were Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and tight end Evan Ingram. It was just an okay wide receiver room. To add, his offensive line ranked 31st on PFF.com. Would you blame these struggles on Daniel, or the supporting cast isn't good enough? Help was on the way for Daniel. The Giants would bring in big-time wide receiver Kenny Golladay and draft Kadarius Toney in the first round. The Giants would start off 0-3, but Week 4 against the Saints would be an overtime thriller victory, where you would see Daniel Jones throw for over 400 yards. New ad Kenny Golladay had over 100 yards too. But in Week 5 versus the Dallas Cowboys, Daniel would roll out to the left to try and run in for a TD, where he would injure his neck. He missed the rest of the game, but he returned the following week to play the Rams, as he would throw for 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions versus the Rams. Week 12 of the 2021 season would be Jones' last game of the year. His lingering neck injury couldn't be played through anymore. This is where Giants head coach Joe Judge would turn the Giants into a complete clown show. You may ask, how can he turn a franchise that's already looking bad every week even worse? It was Week 18 against the Washington football team. He decided to run a QB sneak on a 3rd and 9. Well, Joe Judge was fired at the end of the 2021 season.
First of all, you've been the head coach for 2 years. Your team has won 2 games by double digits. You've lost 14 games by double digits.
The Giants would go on to hire Brian Daboll, a brilliant offensive mind who helped develop Josh Allen in Buffalo. Can he do the same for Jones? Well, Week 1 at Tennessee, the Giants found themselves down 13-0 at halftime. This included a Daniel Jones strip sack fumble due to his pocket awareness being horrible. In the second half, Saquon would start on fire with a big run and a rushing touchdown. The following drive, Jones would throw a 65-yard touchdown to Sterling Shepard. This throw tied the game at 13 apiece. Early in the fourth quarter, Jones and the Giants were looking to tie the game again, and Jones threw a horrendous interception trying to target Barkley. But he would make for this in the next drive. He would help lead to a Giants touchdown. The Giants would make a ballsy decision to go for 2, and Jones would shuffle pass it to Barkley and take the lead, 21-20. Titans still had some time on the clock and drove into field goal position. The Titans kicker would miss the field goal, and the Giants had won their first season opener in 6 years. In Week 3 against the Giants, Jones had a chance at a game-tying drive with just under 2 minutes to go. He would just throw an embarrassing interception to Diggs. But after this, Jones and the Giants won 4 straight games, including comeback victories against the Packers and Ravens. They had a 6-1 record through their first 7 games. They would slow down and finish the season with 9 wins on the season. Daniel Jones threw for 3,205 yards, 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He did add 708 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. The Giants would clinch a playoff berth. In a playoff game against the Vikings, Daniel Jones would go off for 301 passing yards, 78 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns in a 31-24 win. This was their first playoff since their Super Bowl run. The Giants would go to play Philadelphia in the divisional round. The game wasn't even close. The Eagles destroyed the Giants 38-7. Overall, the Giants surpassed everyone's expectations for them coming into the 2022 season. This led to a massive decision that had to be made by Giants GM Joe Schoen. It was either pay Barkley the money he deserved or Jones. Saquon had a stellar 2022 season with over 1,300 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. Jones posted just 15 passing touchdowns, but they decided to controversially give Daniel 4 years, $160 million, while franchise tagging Barkley. Would you guys have given Jones an extension or Barkley. Heading into the 2023 season, the Giants might have finally had some expectations for once. They're coming off a successful season where their head coach won Coach of the Year. Things were looking up until they played the Dallas Cowboys Week 1. It was a rough game for Jones and the G-Men, who lost 40-0. Jones barely cracked 100 passing yards, completing for just 53.6% of his passes and threw 2 interceptions. To start off Week 2 against the Arizona Cardinals, the Giants went down 20-0 going into halftime, meaning they've been outscored 60-0 through 6 quarters to start the season. This was against the terrible Cardinals without their QB Kyler Murray, but in the second half, Jones and the Giants rallied back to win 31-28. Daniel had 321 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns to 1 interception. You can also add 59 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. The following week against the 49ers, he would throw for 137 yards and 1 interception. In Week 4 against the Seahawks, the Giants were down just 11 points with an opportunity to score in the red zone. Daniel would throw a horrible pick 6 to rookie cornerback Devin Witherspoon. Here's the Manning's live reaction to it.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Here's what Witherspoon had to say about Jones.
We knew he liked to stare down his first target.
That play alone was a 14-point swing. Jones ended the night with 2 interceptions and a fumble lost. This was for the whole world to see on Monday Night Football. Next week against the Dolphins, the Giants were losing and Jones would get hurt early in the 4th quarter. He wouldn't return to play in that game. He would miss the next 3 games and return against the Raiders. Tragedy would strike for Jones, as on a play in the 2nd quarter, he would awkwardly fall and tear his ACL. He would miss the rest of the 2023 season. In 6 games in 2023, he threw for 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. This offseason, the Giants selected Malik Nabers in the 1st round. They also added multiple offensive linemen to help protect Jones. In the preseason game against the Texans, he threw 2 interceptions, including just a horrible pick 6. Ultimately, this 2024 season is Jones' last season to prove himself as the starter for the New York Giants. If we're being fair, the Giants have done Daniel no favors for him. Jones still hasn't played well enough. To be fair, Jones has been a professional throughout all of this. New York media can be tough. Will Mark Nabers really help Jones become a good quarterback? We'll see this season. Subscribe for more of the best football content.